Welcome to Genuine Powered by Trust AI Partners, where we dive into the cutting edge of tech innovation. Join us as we explore how AI automation is transforming the industry. If you're ready to discover the future of AI innovation and how your company can get ahead, stay tuned and connect with us for more information. Today's guest, Kevin Edmondson, is a visionary entrepreneur, stroke and cancer survivor, and the founder of Vivescent Wellness Foundation. He's led modular housing developments across the U.S. and Southeast Asia, integrating housing, healthcare, and economic renewal. From memory care villages to veteran communities, Kevin's one person, one home, one community mission is transforming real lives with sustainable tech-enabled solutions. I'm your host, Jim Hoover. Today we're exploring how AI automation and modular design can accelerate solutions for housing, healthcare, and community development at scale. Our guest, Kevin Edmondson, entrepreneur, global housing advocate, and founder of Vivescent Wellness Foundation. Kevin, welcome to the show. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and share the mission behind Vivescent.
Thank you. Again, like you said, my name is Kevin Edmondson. I'm the CEO and founder of Vivescent. Vivescent was started 10 years ago when me and my partner, our best friend, Jason Rayner, a military veteran, wanted to develop modular homes on mobile home parks, redo the mobile home parks with modular homes for veterans, and then build out schools and tech centers using AI tech and green energy tech. And during that time, I suffered from stage 4 colon cancer and suffered a stroke. During that period, he took his life, or he passed away, I should say. And kind of got really upset at myself. We could never do that. Retired from ConocoPhillips in Oklahoma and decided to move to Florida, where we started the Vivescent Wellness Foundation, Vivescent. And we now have been putting up homes and buying homes for veterans. Currently, we're working on a large project in Winfield, Alabama, where we've just purchased 20 plus acres of land. One is going to be apartment, memory care, and entrepreneur zones for veterans. And the second one is a 2.5 acre veterans village with 1-bedroom apartments, all based on veterans who died in 2002 during the F3 tornado that wiped out this whole area. We've been blessed to be able to get the community support, the city support, the government support to come in there, and they've helped us acquire land. And now we're looking for other developers to come in there and finish this dream with us.
That's awesome, and a mission to be proud of. So I can, I think it's very admirable what you're doing. I appreciate it. And it brings me to a question. I imagine, Kevin, that there might be some combination of private and public funding for when you think about your customer profile. Is that correct?
Yeah, right now we've been relying on pretty much my income. We have just started different programs where investors are now coming in and helping us buy property. But mainly it's been people wanting to give their properties for us to build on. As a nonprofit, people can give stocks, crypto, or real estate. Somebody gives me real estate, I can tie it up and put a home on it and put a veteran in that home or an unserved family within a week or two, using modular construction like boxable CS container builds out of the box. These kind of companies are revolutioning because they've done something that is completely different in the industry. They're building things in manufacturers, meaning they can keep the cost down and mass produce things at a cheaper cost. And so for under $100,000, I can usually put a veteran in a home, making his payment about $300 to $400 a month, $800 at the most for like a 2-bedroom. It's amazing.
And so it makes me wonder, what's the biggest challenge for you is it seeking out new investors or new funding sources? And if so, how do you go about that?
Lately, it's just been getting the right teams in place to be able to do this at a massive level. Now that we're finally getting the support we need, we're getting ready to launch a sweepstakes where we're going to give 12 homes to veterans over the next year. Well, not to veterans, to anybody. They can buy a ticket for about $100 and they get 12 chances to win. And we'll build them a house on their own property or any property across the United States. We hope that fund us. We've not tried to rely on a lot of outsource money. We've always wanted to be a grassroots because then you don't have the strings of corporations trying to steal the spotlight when it's all about the people we're trying to help. And it takes, I'm a little bit of a religious guy. It takes that pride away from us and away from people saying, hey, this is what no, it's been done for the people, by the people. Our veterans are helping build the properties. They're running our management companies. They're doing our landscape companies, property management companies. And that's what we're building at this time. Luckily, I have Amber. She came on as my new director of the foundation, who has a lot of background with the VA and that kind of security clearance. And then we just brought in another one, Rita, who's been working with HUD for a long time. So those are the kind of people we're trying to put in place because, as you can think, you're dealing with vulnerable people like HUD and veterans, and so you have to weigh out what's right in all the there's so many requirements, ADA, compliance issues when you're doing that and you're dealing with big grants. Luckily, a lot of the stuff we do is USDA approved because we're doing it on rural land or land that's been in hurricanes, fires, tore down, and we're rebuilding. So there's money that way. So this is why we've not gone out to the public till now. And now that we're ready to expand, because we're now building 5,000 homes in Oklahoma. We're building a project in Colorado and another big project in Ohio where they're doing all the data centers. They need workforce housing. And so the Veterans Administration is very happy to give us people who need homes. And with the Trump administration right now asking all veterans to be off the street by 2028, it's giving us a big push to be able to house all these people.
So then the next step for you, Kevin, in terms of the biggest challenges ahead, it's not so much in the funding side of things, but it's in the construction companies to be able to fulfill the installations of the housing. Is that kind of where you're at?
I'm not going to ever say funding is not an issue because you always need funding and there's always room for partners. But yes, what's the problem is we want to build 10,000 homes, and as you can hear, we're 5,000 here, we're doing 2,500 here, and then Ohio wants another 5,000. So we're looking at 10,000 homes across the U.S. is what our goal is. And the problem is a lot of these, even boxable and some of these larger, they can't produce more than a couple thousand a year. So to be able to do that in a timely manner, we need to find other people who are in this industry that want to be part of this. Those the little guys who build maybe 100 units a year, and we want to buy all their homes and try to put them on properties. And, that's where we think, again, we just want to help everybody grow. It shouldn't just be one company thinking that they can do this, because if you understand that the U.S. alone right now is 4.2 million homes short, and in 10 years we hit the gray tsunami. Okay, that's gray tsunami is where everybody from Generation X starts to retire. When they do, they'll downsize from larger houses and try to go in. There's not enough homes for everybody. There's 30 million people going to retire in 10 years. We have to get ahead of this, and we have to start building homes that people could afford to live in their retirement age.
What's the size and scale of the organization?
What do you mean by size? The staffing or the people? We right now we're sitting about 10 permanent staff and about 20 volunteers.
Okay.
And when I say volunteers, a lot of these guys are giving us legal support. They're giving us architectural designs. They're doing our planning for us, and they just want to be silent about it. They don't want everybody to know. They're doing it because they just want to help. Again, our organization has been built on non-ego. Nobody wants to be the head of it. It's just everybody wants to help.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I'm curious when it comes to selecting the building materials, are they all pre-manufactured? Are there any stick built? How do you navigate those decisions?
Right now, most of it has been modular in design. We are moving into it with um, out of the box. They're more of a um, stick built where they can go onto a slab. Like in Alabama, there's about 2,000 homes that were destroyed by the tornado. They can actually go rebuild right on the foundation that was already there. So instead of having a module dropped in and you have to pull that foundation out because there's already utilities there that makes it easy, we just build right on that property. And so
Hmm.
companies like that, we are working with two companies. They're not fully designed yet, but we want to start getting into the 3D AI 3D printing of houses. And again, this is kind of a weird one, but and people don't understand it. There's things called HIMPs or biocrete and different kinds of concrete that is stronger than, and they can spray it over domes and build houses that way, and they're beautiful. But those are the technologies, but it keeps the cost down so much.
And how do you measure success in terms of what KPIs are you paying attention to? How do you track that? What are some of the key things that you're looking for, and what's the measurable growth that you've seen over the past couple of years, and where you want to be over the next 1 to 2 years?
Now, up to this point, we've put in probably up 100 people into homes, but these are not homes that we've all built. We've only built about 10 homes on our own because we were trying to figure out the right formula, the right pricing contracts, and how to determine where we really wanted to go. And so, with the new innovations from S2S and different companies, we can now build apartment complexes cheaper than we can build homes, meaning we can take 300 homes and build them and put 300 people in those homes for a tenth of the cost of building each home on each separate property. Now, how do we find the return? It's every veteran that we put in, every unserved family, every mother. Those are the KPIs that we look at. We can build homes and be rich off building homes. But that's not what it's about. It's about seeing families get a place they deserve, taking a homeless person who just wants a chance but just can't get back on his feet. We re-educate them, we retrain them, and we build these things called entrepreneur zones. Well, this is what we're building. One of them's called Box It, and it was out of England. And what it is it's cargo containers. It's about 10,000 square feet. It's 30 different micro business incubator businesses. So we believe if we take people at and put them into a home, and then we give them a micro job and like say a barber has a license but he has nowhere to cut hair, you give him a micro business for $300 a month, and now he can grow into that business, and then we help him go into those are our KPIs. When we can see the faces and changing people's lives, because you can't just build somebody a home and say here's your low cost home, because then you're no better than Section 8. So the
Hmm.
KPIs we look at is each family we place is another win. And that's what our investors are looking at right now. How many people? And that's why our target right now is 10,000 across the US.
Okay. And so when you think about revenue and budget context, are you able to comment on distinguishing the funding between grants versus uh, government contracts versus blended finance? Are you able to speak to any of that?
So right now we're getting ready to file our 2026 grants. Most of them are USDA grants, and we're going to try to raise $100 million in grants. We believe we can reach 50 million of it, and the other 50 million we'll have to get from outside investors. Now, when we put our portfolio together, housing, it makes about 12 to 14%. What really makes the return on investment and where our investors are happy to come in because they know they'll make their money back is our 6 types of memory care: assisted living, drug abuse centers, um, assisted living. When we get into those industries, those are about a return on investment of 40% and higher just because they're insurance based and you're building
Hmm.
out new communities, but they're not the standard homes. They're where we build a complex, which we call the village, and we allow people to come in and they have a business there. The medical unit goes in the middle, and then we build homes around it for people to live in during this time, keeping the medical and the hospital really close to these people. So those returns and investments on that part of it is our greatest. That's what the investors see. The housing, again, there's not a lot of money in housing when we're not trying to sell a house for $300,000. Like
Hmm.
if I was to turn around and say, hey, I'm going to sell my houses for $300,000, absolutely, I can have a larger return on investment for it. And I wouldn't need so much money as in grants and funding. But this is USDA property. It's rural area. It was hit by FEMA. So there's FEMA money. There's tornado money because it was 114 people lost their lives up there. And so that's what we're, for just the Alabama area, that is where we're targeting our money. And it's probably going to be roughly about 50% of our total amount of money that we need to bring in.
And when you attract those private investors, how do you go about doing that? Do you have specific methods that are in place, or are they all inbound organic prospects?
Up to this point, most of our investors have either been private investors that don't want, they'll just donate. We'll get a check in the mail and say, hey, we don't want nothing back for this. The other investors, they have to be a certified investor, so they have to make a certain amount of money, own their own homes. There's requirements from the government where they have to hit, but those qualified investors, we've got about 10 of them right now, and they're working on, each one of them's working on a different property. Um, my wife and Amber really handles the different types of investors that they're bringing in right now, and I'm handling more of the government conversations. So I can't speak really good to that one, but that's where most of our investors are. Let's say if you wanted to invest, I would set you up with Amber. They'd run a qualification answer sheet on you. If you answered right, then we can present a business plan and a portfolio of what is going on, what we have in the plans, and that includes where some of our other money has gone. This is why recently I was in overseas, is because we're going to be putting data centers in Alabama and data centers in some of these foreign countries we've been in. And these are all done through modular construction, believe it or not. And so that relationship is helping fund this project now.
I see. And so I wonder if you were able to somehow scale up those private investment prospects into a pipeline, a consistent pipeline where you're getting 2, 5, 10 a month over the next 12 months. Does that help accelerate you towards hitting the goals that you're looking to from a housing standpoint?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, that's why we're getting ready to do the national sweepstakes, the concert
Hmm.
series with Bo Bryce.
Hmm.
They're going to be a 12 state concert because we're going to start getting those investors who want to come in and be part of this. And we're going to start announcing us to the public on a more broad base. TV shows. We've got one of the largest entertainment companies in the country going to be promoting us. Uh, but we're not launching officially to January. We're taking in some private investors right now to get us ramped up. But once January starts, you'll see a national rollout for this 12-month um, revenue stream. And then we're also doing pool tournaments, polling tournaments, UFC fights, and there's a lot of money being donated from those organizations to the Veterans Housing Program. I
Okay.
think that's where we get a lot of it. When you're talking about veterans, Americans stand up, especially when they want to see the veterans get off the streets right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. And in terms of bottlenecks in operations, where do they typically show up for you?
That's a good one. So I live in Florida. We wanted to come down here and make Florida our headquarters, and now we're in Alabama. The bottlenecks are sometimes just the permits because people hear modular homes and they don't get it. They're thinking an old mobile home that was 50 years ago where if they pull them in, there's nothing to them. But these new modular homes are even sometimes better designed and better built than regular brick houses. They've got better insulation, they've got better heating, and they're about the third the cost. And so when we were in Florida, it was going to take us to just build one complex or one house up to 2 years just for housing and permits. You go to a place like Alabama who has no homes available, like Birmingham is out of homes, Jasper's out of homes. That's the two biggest spots. And we're only 50 miles from there. We go to that city, their city's ran by 3 individuals who don't have a huge background. They're like, you're going to bring housing? We'll give you all the land and we'll write the permits. We'll change the zoning for you, whatever you need. If you can build us housing, we really, really need it because we can't grow without the housing.
Mm-hmm. So the biggest burden is the permitting on the permitting
Usually, yeah.
side of things. Yeah, that makes sense. How about in terms of technology? How are you leveraging technology for operations, lead generation, funding? How is that fitting into your model?
Right now, I don't know if we use a lot of big technology. Biggest technology, Microsoft grant systems, Google grant systems. And then Monday, there are technology where we keep all our CRMs and data. But besides that, we haven't actually, we just started writing all our grants for 2026. There are some programs out there that we are finding that actually help you write some of these grants. And it's been very useful, especially on the smaller grants. But the grants we're going for are 50 million, 100 million, those federal grants, those grant writers get very, very expensive. And for a foundation, sometimes that's the hardest part for it.
Got it. Okay. And so in terms of goals in the roadmap, when you look at what specific outcomes do you want to achieve in the next 6 to 12 months, if you had to pick number 1, 2, and 3?
I want to get at least 100 homes up in Alabama and start the first 250 home project in Oklahoma. Colorado kind of runs by itself because we're just partnering with another group there. But if we can do those 2 projects in the next 6 months to 12 months, prove the new model that we have, which is the housing, apartment, entrepreneur, and the medical units as the pilot program in Alabama, that's where we really like to be. If we expand that till 2028, we'd like to have 10,000 homes across America by somewhere in 2028. That would help get all the homeless and veterans off the street, and we'll be just in time for the Olympics. So we're helping our country out.
Awesome. And so other than the permitting issue that we talked about earlier, are there any other specific hurdles that stand in the way from or holding you back from achieving those targets?
Time. And like I said, grants, when you fill out grants, they're just not something that you get in 20 days or 30 days. And so again, that's why we're now going to start seeking some other types of investments to help us run operationally and to pay for the grant systems that we actually have to put in place, hire some of the people who do know technology and get them into place. Once we have that, I don't see any other issues for us, especially in Alabama and Oklahoma, where both of those states are waiving all building. And because they're modular, I don't have to have in-site or on-site inspections except for power, water, and gas. I can basically drop a home, put a concrete, and I'm pretty much done because they're inspected at the housing level or in the manufacturer level. And so that's the streamline process, and that's what makes this a lot different than building homes. If I had to build stick-built homes from the ground, you're talking 2 to 8 months, depending on where you're at. Even without permits, it's a lot longer. You have to wait for this to finish. These, you basically come in and slap them up or drop them in place, hook up the utilities, and you leave. Do some landscaping, and it's pretty easy at that point.
So where does budget and ROI come into play for your business? I'm curious.
The budget, the problem is the budget's been all out of my back pocket up till this last month. And the budget we are putting together for the new thing, I think Amber has that budget pretty well set. I just don't know how to answer that yet because, again, we haven't actually had a budget. It's just, hey, we wanted this property. I went and bought the property. call the supplier on the phone and said, hey, I need a home. They would drop a home. We'd put it on the property and we would sell it to the individual, get them financed through Vivescent, our C Corp, which is the real estate company. And we would help them. And if they can't afford that property, we co-sign for them, or I co-sign for them. And so there hasn't been a budget. It's just been, let's get people in homes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad thing. And that's why Amber takes over and says, no, Kevin, we have to have a budget. You can't keep putting it out of your pocket. I know you want to help the world, but you can help this many. And if we do this right and put these things together, get the right team, we can help thousands of people. So I've had to kind of give that control to her, and she's amazing.
Really helps to have people like that on the team. Good to hear. And one other question I was curious about is in terms of the expansion that you're looking at going forward and all the different moving parts to these different job sites and villages and communities that you're building. Is there a priority with respect to finding the construction companies that want to be involved and help you get the communities installed?
It was hard in the beginning. Now we're up to 10. We've got 10 solid groups, and I have a call list of about 13 more that want to be involved. Again, a lot of these have to be vetted. A lot of people have great plans, but they don't have the ability to build more than 1 or 2 a month. I need companies who can build 10 to 100 a month and be able to keep supplying those at that level if we're going to reach the 10,000 homes over the next 5 years.
Got it. And so if there are people out there, whether they're investors or construction companies or somebody who wants to donate privately, what are your parting thoughts or message that you want to leave to people like that, and where could the people find you, Kevin?
Well, they can find us at vivescentwellnessfoundation.org. We really like people. Again, I'm a grassroots kind of guy, and it might be selfish, but if somebody's struggling, for example, we had one of the properties we did, a lady had a house and it was 5 acres and she was about to lose the property. We paid off the loan, or paid off the back taxes, and she donated 1 acre of that property. We're doing this right now. That's that 2.5 acres. Actually, it's 2.5 acres, not an acre. And she's going to live in her house, and we're going to take and put 14 veterans homes on there, and she gets to share that income as the investor, but she gets a lifetime income off that property, and she gets to keep her home from her father instead of needing to sell it and getting where she can't afford it. She just doesn't. The cost of the land is more than what her Social Security is. So when people donate land, that's what's really valuable to us, because we can take an acre and put 8 to 10 homes on it. And then if you think about it, or if they don't want to just donate it, they can do a partnership or a JV with us. And this is commercial developers too, because this is what the property we're working on right now. It had 14 homes on it. The guy was about to lose it. We're going in there. He's going to give us the land. So we were able to take the note, pay off his debt. And now we're going to use that property. It has an income, and we're going to put apartments and other things on that. But he's going to continue to get a lifetime income off that property. And so we're looking for mobile home parks that may be ran down and just needs new life on it. Let's come in and put 19 new homes on it. Let's do the redevelopment on that property because all the utilities are there. That's the lifesaver for us. These properties that could be rebuilt and reconstruction, the utilities are already on the property, saving us $20,000 to $50,000 per property just in hookup fees. So that's what we really like, is people who want to be involved and be partners with us on properties. Again, we're here to work with the community and do outreach, not takeovers. I mean, it's easy for me to go buy properties and do this on my own, but there's people out there suffering, especially in today's economy. So if they want to donate land, crypto, anything, they can go to Vivescent. It's Vivescent, wellnessfoundation.org. There's plenty of links on the website. They can reach out to me personally. My number's on the website. I don't hide it. Call me anytime. We have a link on there that they can schedule appointments, and we can do a Zoom meeting and we can talk to them. We just need the community's help finally. We need everybody to give outreach. And the biggest thing I think we really need now is people to tell other people that we're here. I think that
Yeah.
will, everybody thinks social media is so easy anymore, but unless you have something that somebody can get rich on, it's hard to get your name out there. Like when you're a nonprofit, we put a post out there and it gets 50 hits, and you're going, why is it getting 50 hits when you're trying to help veterans? Well, either we're doing something wrong. Paid ads do a little bit better. We just got a $20,000 grant from Google a month, so we'll be able to start doing targeted ads, and that shall help bring in that donations and stuff.
Does that mean that Google donated that ad cost so you are able to work within that budget? Is that kind of how they structured that?
Yeah, we're allowed to spend $20,000 a month. We can't use any keywords that are over $2 a keyword, so we have to keep our keywords down. But it's better than having, to put $2,000 out and only get 2 ads. We can basically put an ad out every day in a different industry and still have plenty of ad money. And Microsoft is now doing the same thing for us. It's been, the big corporations are actually better for us than some of the smaller ones.
Uh-huh. And who's managing the ad campaign?
That right now, the ads are being ran by my wife, Jocelyn.
Okay, got it.
But we're looking for somebody who could take that over. We were in negotiations with one group. They heard how much money we were going to be able to get, and they tripled their price overnight. And it was like, okay, forget it. And so,
yeah, okay. Well, listen, Kevin, it's been powerful. Thank you for sharing how Vivescent is building not just homes, but hope. For listeners, we'll link resources in the show notes. If you're exploring AI automation to accelerate housing, healthcare, and community outcomes, connect with us. I'm Jim Hoover. This is Trust AI Partners. We'll see you on the next one. And listen, if you have some land out there, reach out to Kevin. Start a conversation. We'll see you on the next one.